This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
I mean, you can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face. Oh, I'm from Brooklyn. Hey, guys, any?
How we doing today on a Sunday on National Streaming Sports? Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Mac, with your co-hosts, Jack Hirsch and Sonia Pearson, here bringing you all the latest in sports and some of the big stories we'll be covering today. We'll have Keith Anglin. We'll have Jamie Pags, the Philly sports guy, will also be in today. Good morning to everyone out there. Good morning to you guys. And let's start with a couple of headlines. We'll get more to it as we get into the show. The New York Rangers fall to the Florida Panthers as the Panthers are going to the Stanley Cup. We'll have the Philly sports guy. He's also a hockey expert in later to talk about that. We got Jack Hirsch today. Two pretty big fights happened last night. Zhang knocked out Zhang knocks out Wilder. Bivol stops the nod. And again, we'll get to that later on the show, as we got the best boxing expert on the net with us as far as talking about that. So let's get into the NFL and some football here. The Bills signed former Olympic gold medalist Gable. He's looking forward to the challenge on how his wrestling translate into playing in the NFL. Good morning, Rick. Glad to have you aboard. Guys, wrestling, any kind of martial arts or wrestling or taekwondo or whatever you're doing does help in playing football. But Jack, can a gold medal wrestler, make that transition?
One thing I don't understand, you're supposed to hold in wrestling. That's the main thing, how you grab onto someone. But if you're holding football, they're supposed to throw a flag. I don't understand it. I don't think something like that works in the slightest. You talk about athletes transitioning one sport to the other. The skills are so much different. It rarely happens.
Sonia, what are your thoughts? I mean, if you're playing defense, I guess maybe you could hold a little bit and throw people down and tackle people. So what do you think? I mean, do you think this is possible that maybe he can make that transition?
Good morning. So I actually feel that some sports you can make a transition. This would be one I wouldn't be honestly considering. Of course, track stars, speed and agility are always very important. In fact, they have that as part of the combine. But you don't even see in the combine a holding contest or a subduing someone contest or any of the things that wrestling involves. So I don't know if the Bills just had some extra money and they decided that they were going to get somebody to help their defense or what. But I honestly do not know how this is going to play or factor into the Bills being successful. I mean, go figure, they could go get a toy salesman at this point and suit up the way I'm seeing it.
There you go. And speaking of subduing someone, here's our guest Keith Angle coming in. Keith,
I'm real happy to see you this morning, Keith. Great timing.
Yes.
Already, I got to be subdued at 8:00 in the morning.
You guys wordplay.
If that's our biggest sports story, a wrestler going out for the Buffalo Bills, then that's a slow sports day.
It is.
Yes,
kind of-
but we built up to a heck of a finale. So stick around. So Keith, let's talk a little bit. I went through some New England Patriot news. They're a little disappointed maybe in Drake May so far in training camp. Right now, Zappe, believe it or not, is listed as a second string quarterback. Of course, I don't think that will last too long. They'll probably end up trading or re-signing him or whatever they do with him.
You love Zappe, Matt. I'm sorry to cut in, but you love Zappe.
I do. I love Zappe. I really do. I think he's, when all the excuses of why Mac Jones failed with the offensive line and all this, those excuses do not work for Zappe. He just is no good. So anyway, to me, Drake May, again, we know it's going to be a work in progress. Keith, are you worried about, him being third behind Zappe right now?
Not at this point, no. I mean, we've had a week of OTAs or whatever. We've had 2 weeks. I don't know what it is. Chris, that's probably going to be the starter anyway. They want to bring May along as slowly. This happens, more often than you think at this point in the NFL schedule, that a quarterback who is highly drafted might get rated or I'm sorry, lower on the depth chart than maybe even somebody like Zappe. I don't expect Zappe to be here either, to be honest with you. And I think Drake May, but here's the thing. If they don't want Drake May to play early, what's the point of having him in uniform even? You could have him, inactive early in the season if that's what they want to do. But again, this isn't a season where they think they're going to do a whole lot. So, there's no reason to really rush Drake May unless things change drastically between now and August.
Keith, is there any chance I'm sorry, is there any chance this could follow the same blueprint that it did with the Washington Redskins years ago when they drafted RG3 in a similar high position and they drafted Kirk Cousins in the 4th round? Because people aren't talking about the quarterback the Patriots drafted in the 6th round. And they've had a little success in the past with a 6th round draft selection at quarterback. And Tom Brady, Joe Milton, big, strong arm. Is it possible he could be the heir apparent? Not to Tom Brady, but to be the star, the starter going forward at some point. If Drake May is slow to pick things up and Milton really impresses, would he be given a legitimate shot at leapfrogging over Drake May at some point?
At some point, anything could happen, right? But I don't think that's the plan right now. Joe Milton is a tremendous athlete. He made some throws at the combine that were absolutely out of this world. And he's got a great arm. Right now, Drake May's the quarterback. I mean, we aren't even going to have discussions that Milton's going to. If we're already in discussions where Milton might jump Drake May, then we made a big mistake with Drake May. Is all I can say. I hope that.
Yes, Keith, and I loved when you said they don't expect to do a lot that year. That's one hell of an attitude for a football team to have going into the season. I hope they don't really think that.
When I say that, I mean I don't think there's championship. Look, I want that to change.